Donald Trump just had a disastrous appearance on a huge podcast, and at multiple points during his appearance, the hosts were laughing at him right in his face. Just wait until you see the clips. Flagrant is a highly successful podcast with 1.7 million subscribers on YouTube. It's hosted by comedian Andrew Schulz and his friends. And Andrew scored a huge win by getting Donald Trump to come on his podcast. And while Andrew and his comedian friends provide a lighthearted atmosphere for their guests, they had some tough questions for Donald Trump, including what happened with Mike Pence.
What about Mike Pence? You got anything for Mike Pence?
Well, it's a shame because he and I had a very good relationship.
Hanging out somewhere.
He couldn't cross the line of doing what was right, in my opinion. Some people would disagree with that, but he had the right to go and put him before the legislatures and have them reassess because they found out a lot of bad things. And he had a lawyer that said he didn't have that right, but he did have that right. And you know why we found out that that was true? Because they changed the law after the election so that he couldn't do what I said he could do.
Yeah.
Okay? They changed the law so that a vice president could no longer do what I said he could do. So, in other words, I turned out to be right. But it's a shame. We had a very good relationship for 99.9% of the thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think he's a good man. I mean, I think he's a good man.
Good.
Unfortunately, I wish he would have had the stamina, maybe courage, maybe both, to go further.
That is definitely not true. Congress updated the Electoral Count Act to make sure everybody knows that the vice president's role is just ministerial when he opens up the Electoral College votes and announces them, and then it's up to Congress if they want to accept them or not. And they also updated the law so that it takes more than just one member of the House and one member of the Senate to sign a letter to begin the objection process of the Electoral College votes. Now it takes 20% of each chamber to begin that process. So Mike Pence did the right thing, thank you very much.
Because we have to have honest elections in our country. And if we're afraid to challenge an election, we're in big trouble, you know. They say, if you challenge, they've challenged elections. The Democrats, look at Maxine Waters, how dare them, you know, they've challenged Stacey Abrams. Almost all of the Democrats challenged. But when we challenge, they say, he's a threat to democracy. These are con artists, and they're very bad for our country. So I'm going to weed them out. We're going to weed them out. I'll do it in honor of you.
What is that supposed to mean? I'm going to weed them out. That sounds pretty dark from Donald Trump right there. And once again, Donald Trump brings up this nonsense that Democrats do not accept election results. In 2018, Stacey Abrams ran as the Democratic candidate for governor in Georgia. And when she lost, she admitted that she lost and that Brian Kemp, the Republican, would be the governor. But she refused to concede because of allegations of persistent voter suppression in Georgia. And we all know what the Republican Party's been up to try to keep down the vote in that state. That being said, she always admitted that Brian Kemp had won the election, but she wanted to make a point about voter suppression. And then she ran again in 2022 and lost to Brian Kemp again and had no problem conceding, even though she still feels that voter suppression is at play. And Hillary Clinton conceded the morning after the election to Donald Trump. So he can keep making all this noise about Democrats refusing to accept election results, but it's just not true. And even in the examples provided by Trump, it comes nowhere near the nonsense that he has been saying about the 2020 election. Andrew Schulz also had what he thought was a funny question for Donald Trump about Barron Trump and abortion. But I think the question actually represented the position that a lot of guys have in standing with women in support of abortion. Watch.
Barron is 18. He's handsome. He's tall. He's rich.
He's got the whole ball.
He's unleashed in New York City. Are you sure you want to reverse Roe v. Wade now?
You've got to love the look on Donald Trump's face as he realizes how wrong he is on this issue, as these young comedian cool guys are clowning on his party's position. Fantastic. And at one point, the interview took a strange turn when Donald Trump was asked who he thinks is responsible for the assassination attempt against him. And he rambled on and then tried to explain it as some sort of strategic, brilliant move called weaving.
How I got $1.6 billion off the price of Air Force One. So, but then you have to come back to the story. Where was Air Force One taking you? So anyway, I do a weave. I call it the weave. And some people think it's so genius, but the bad people, what they say is, you know, he was rambling. Yeah. It's not a ramble. There's no rambling.
This is a weave.
This is a weave. I call it the weave. Good name. I'm not sure. That's another name. We had fake news. We came up with lots of names.
Yeah.
But the weave is, I think we should make the weave a part of that stable.
Yeah, you really weaved away to answering my question twice.
That's brilliant.
So
I don't even want to know the answer anymore.
I lost interest.
We'll weave back. Let's weave back to his question. Because this is where it started. So we'll weave back to his.
I don't think these guys were laughing with Donald Trump. He was trying to explain how brilliant he is in his rambling, and they were just laughing at him and mocking him. And he was completely oblivious to this as he just keeps going on thinking that they love him. They're eating it up. But Trump's appearance on the podcast reached peak absurdity when he tried to say that Kamala Harris and the left are liars, and he's the most honest person. Watch this.
I'll tell you what bothers me. Kamala the other day said he is against IVF. And everybody knows that that's false.
Yeah.
When I came out, people were a little surprised, actually, because, you know, in theory, but I came out strongly in favor of IVF. She has an add-on that I'm against IVF. She knows it's untrue. She has an add-on that bloodbath. Bloodbath means like blood, and that's not what I was talking about. The automobile industry. It's going to be a bloodbath in the automobile. We're going to lose all our business.
Yeah.
That's what it's referring to. When they do things, and they do a lot, but I always refer them back to the simplicity of McDonald's. She lied about McDonald's. She lied about many things, and she's a liar. There should be some kind of a rule when they know it's a lie, you can't do a commercial on it. But this is a thing that's going to end in 29 days, so they can say what they want. I have a hard time doing it to them because I'm basically a truthful person. But frankly, she's given me so much ammunition, I don't really have to. I mean, she's a radical left lunatic.
Andrew Schulz can't even contain himself and laughs in the face of Donald Trump when he says, I'm basically a truthful person. And you could tell these guys are uncomfortable as the room gets quiet when Trump says that it's Kamala Harris and the left that are liars and he's the truthful one. When everyone knows that every time Donald Trump opens his mouth, he's lying. And to Donald Trump's point about not being allowed to run commercials if something's not true, we would never see Donald Trump again if that was the law of the land. What a disaster of an appearance by Donald Trump. There are now clips going around the internet of these guys laughing in his face, and nobody's going to go watch the rest of the podcast to get the context or care. Kudos to whoever in Trump's team booked him for that appearance, because I think it was a hot mess.